Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be unraveling the history of food and nutrition.
Oh,
We're going to be
okay.
going from like our ancient ancestors to modern science.
All right.
And we've got some excerpts from a Spanish dietetics text to kind of guide us through it.
Cool.
And trust me, this story of what we eat is a lot more captivating than you might think.
It really is. I mean, it's fascinating to consider how much diet has shaped human evolution.
Right.
Food isn't just about calories, you know? It's
Yeah.
been this driving force behind our biology and our brains,
Yeah,
even the development of civilizations.
definitely. So we're talking about a lot more than just like what's for dinner, right?
Oh, for sure.
So to kind of kick things off, our source text makes a point of defining some key terms.
Okay.
We've got alimentation, nutrition, and dietetics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're already kind of familiar with these words,
Mm-hmm.
but have you ever like stopped to think about the subtle differences between them?
Yeah, it's important to make those distinctions.
Right.
So alimentation is all about the choices we make around food, like what we buy, how we prepare it, even the cultural and economic factors that influence those choices.
Interesting.
You know, it's the whole journey of food
Okay.
from farm to plate.
So it's about more than just like grabbing a burger on the go.
Exactly.
There's like a whole decision-making process involved.
Yeah.
But how does that connect to nutrition then?
So nutrition is the biological process of how our bodies use the food that we consume.
Gotcha.
So it's about breaking down those molecules, the complex ones, into simpler ones, absorbing the nutrients and then putting them to work,
Okay.
you know, for energy, for growth and repair.
So alimentation is like the what and the why of eating.
Yeah,
Nutrition is the how our bodies actually process it.
exactly.
Then we come to dietetics.
Yes.
Which is like the science of applying those food principles to improve health.
Exactly. Dietetics is like the bridge between those two concepts.
Okay.
It takes that knowledge of nutrition and then it uses it to create healthy eating patterns,
Okay.
whether that's for individuals or entire communities.
Now, this is where our deep dive, I think, takes a really fascinating turn.
Okay.
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 So imagine we're going back in time,
Right.
all the way to the Paleolithic era,
Okay.
when our ancestors were hunters and gatherers.
I like it.
What can their diet tell us about ourselves today?
Well, the Paleolithic diet was very rich in protein
Okay.
because of all the hunting.
Right.
But this wasn't just about getting enough calories.
Right.
That protein provided the building blocks for larger brains
Wow.
and then more complex social structures.
Interesting.
I mean, think about it. The food they ate literally helped shape who we are today.
So are you suggesting that, like, our bodies are still craving that ancient way of eating?
It's
Like, is that why the Paleolithic diet is so popular today?
it's interesting to consider, isn't it?
Yeah.
The modern Paleolithic diet kind of emphasizes lean meats and a variety of plant-based foods, minimal processed foods, just like our ancestors ate.
Okay.
You know, it might not be practical to adopt it entirely, but could certain aspects be beneficial for us today?
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
It really makes you wonder if we've strayed too far from our roots in a way.
Yeah.
But hold on, because things took a major shift with the Neolithic Revolution.
Right.
And then suddenly agriculture enters the picture.
Right.
Humans start farming and raising livestock.
That's right.
What happened then?
Well, that shift to agriculture was a game changer.
Okay.
Humans gained control over their food supply,
Right.
which led to more options,
So, hey.
better food security, and ultimately longer lifespans.
Wow.
Imagine the impact that had on population growth and the development of civilizations.
It's mind-blowing how something like as simple as farming could have such a ripple effect throughout history.
It really is.
But did the Neolithic diet look anything like what we eat today?
Well, there were definitely similarities to modern eating patterns,
Okay.
but their diet was much more limited in variety.
Right.
I mean, think about it. No supermarkets overflowing with produce from around the globe. It was a stepping stone, though,
Oh.
setting the stage for all the culinary developments that followed.
So we've gone from hunting and gathering to farming.
Mm-hmm.
But when did we start thinking about food in terms of dietetics?
Yeah.
When did this idea of food as medicine really emerge?
Well, the seeds were kind of sown in ancient Greece,
Okay.
where dietetics transitioned from a purely moral or religious context to a more technical and hygienic approach.
So less about pleasing the gods and more about understanding how food impacts our health.
Exactly.
Ah.
Thinkers like Pythagoras believed in this harmony between humans and the universe,
Okay.
including the idea of dietary moderation.
Yeah.
Food was seen as having almost like magical properties,
Interesting.
capable of influencing both physical and spiritual well-being.
That's a far cry from how we often view food today.
Right.
Is it something to like scarf down between meetings?
Yeah.
Right?
And then there's Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine. His Corpus Hippocraticum emphasized the balance between nutrition and exercise for health.
Okay.
And what's really remarkable is that he advocated for personalized diets based on individual characteristics,
Wow.
a concept that's still relevant today.
Personalized diets in ancient Greece.
I know.
That sounds like the original wellness trend.
Right?
But seriously, did people actually follow these ideas back then?
Yeah. Hippocrates' influence was really profound.
Oh, wow.
His principles shaped dietary practices for centuries to come.
Wow, that's impressive.
Even in the Middle Ages, his teachings remained a cornerstone of medical knowledge.
So ancient wisdom paved the way for medieval understanding.
Yeah.
What happened next in this evolution of dietary thought?
So we've got ancient wisdom mingling with medieval practices.
Right. But it wasn't all just about, like, following the ancients, was it?
No, not really.
Did anything new emerge during the Middle Ages?
Well, Arabic scholarship played this really crucial role in preserving and expanding upon that Greek medical knowledge. During the Middle Ages, there was also this intriguing concept called sex res non naturalis,
Okay.
which essentially identified 6 non-natural things
Okay.
that could impact a person's health.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Sex res non naturalis.
Yeah,
It sounds like something straight out of a medieval mystery novel.
right.
What were these mysterious influences?
They included things like air quality, food and drink,
Hmm.
exercise and rest,
Okay.
sleep patterns,
Okay.
bodily excretions,
Okay.
and this might surprise you, emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah.
Wow, so they were already making that mind-body connection like centuries ago.
Yeah.
They were way ahead of their time.
It shows this really holistic understanding of well-being, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they recognize that mental and emotional states could directly influence physical health,
Right?
including digestion and overall well-being.
Interesting.
I mean, think about it. Even today, we talk about comfort food and how stress can affect our eating habits. Oh, that's so true. I know, I reach for the chocolate when I'm feeling stressed.
Right.
So we've got this blend of ancient wisdom and medieval insight.
Yeah.
But when did things start to shift toward like a more scientific approach to diet and nutrition?
The move towards like a more scientific understanding of dietetics was really gradual.
Okay.
It gained momentum in like the 19th and early 20th centuries.
Okay.
But there were hints of this shift even earlier.
Okay.
Like back in the 17th century,
Yeah.
you have this Italian physician named Sanctorius,
Okay.
and he began investigating how food interacted with the human body.
Okay.
He was a real pioneer in using quantitative methods to study human physiology.
See, he was like the original biohacker,
Yeah.
measuring and tracking everything.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive for the 17th century.
He was definitely ahead of his time. And then there's this fascinating anecdote about the French scientist Réaumur
Okay.
in the 18th century.
Mm-hmm.
He was studying birds,
Okay.
and he noticed that his pet kite.
Would regurgitate these pellets of undigested food.
Okay.
And this really sparked his curiosity about the process of digestion.
Wait, so a bird throwing up led to a scientific breakthrough.
Yeah.
You've got to love those accidental discoveries.
It's amazing how those seemingly random observations can lead to important insights.
Right.
Another key figure from this era was Spallanzani.
Huh.
And he was known for his, shall we say, creative self-experiments.
Okay.
He would actually swallow linen bags filled with food.
He swallowed what?
Linen bags
Yeah.
filled with food to see how they were digested.
He swallowed bags. Okay. That's dedication to science.
Yeah.
But what did he learn from this besides maybe a stomachache?
Well, through these experiments, he was able to prove that digestion was a chemical process,
Okay.
not just a mechanical one.
Interesting.
This was a major step forward in understanding how our bodies break down food.
That's a huge leap forward from simply observing birds regurgitating.
Right.
So the pieces are starting to come together,
Hmm.
but I'm guessing things really took off in the 19th century.
Absolutely. In the 19th century, we have Dr. Beaumont,
Yeah.
who had this unique opportunity to study digestion thanks to a patient with a stomach fistula,
Okay.
which was essentially an open wound that allowed him to directly observe the inner workings of the stomach.
A window into the stomach. Talk about a lucky break for science.
Yeah.
But I imagine it wasn't so lucky for the patient.
Right.
So what did Beaumont learn from this unusual situation?
Well, he was able to identify gastric juice and pepsin,
Okay.
a key digestive enzyme.
Okay.
This was groundbreaking at the time. Around the same time, scientists were beginning to kind of unravel the mysteries of macronutrients,
Yeah.
carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
Right.
They started to understand how these essential components of food were metabolized by the body.
So we're finally getting to the nitty-gritty of how food fuels our bodies.
Yeah.
But this brings up a question for me. We've come so far in our understanding of nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still this gap between what we know and what we actually do.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to make those healthy choices even when we know better?
That's a great question. And it's something that the Spanish dietetics text touches on as well.
Okay.
You have to remember, even with all the scientific advancements,
Right.
food choices aren't made in a vacuum.
Okay.
There's this complex interplay of factors that influence what ends up on our plates.
So it's not just about like willpower
Right.
or knowing the nutritional content of our food.
Exactly.
What are some of these other factors that we need to consider?
Well, first, there's this huge disparity between developed and developing countries
Okay.
when it comes to food access.
Right.
In many parts of the world, hunger and malnutrition are still major issues.
Right.
People don't always have the luxury of choosing what they eat.
That's a really stark reminder that food security is a privilege that many people lack.
Yeah.
But even in places where food is abundant,
Mm-hmm.
there are still a lot of factors at play.
Right.
Our source text mentions market availability, affordability, cultural influences,
Yep.
personal preferences.
Ah.
It's a lot to juggle.
It really is. And then you have to factor in things like climate.
Right.
Like what's readily available and affordable in one region might be completely different in another.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the time factor.
Oh, yeah.
We live in this fast-paced world where convenience often trumps nutrition.
Ugh. Tell me about it. I'm a master of the 30-minute meal,
Right.
even if it means sacrificing nutritional value sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a constant struggle.
You're not alone.
That's
Okay,
all.
good. But there's another powerful force at play here,
Okay.
and that's marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Food companies are experts at making us crave their products,
Right.
whether they're good for us or not.
Right.
They know how to push our buttons.
Oh, absolutely. Those commercials can be so insidious,
Yeah.
especially the ones targeted at kids.
Right.
It's like they're speaking directly to our inner sugar monster.
It's true.
Yeah.
They're incredibly sophisticated in their techniques. But amidst all these external influences,
Right.
we also have to remember our own internal compass. Okay.
Our knowledge and beliefs about nutrition,
Okay.
the more we understand about how food affects our bodies,
Right.
the better equipped we are to make those informed choices,
Yeah.
even when faced with those tempting advertisements
Right.
or the lure of convenience.
So knowledge is power when it comes to navigating the food landscape.
Yeah.
But what about those times when we knowingly make unhealthy choices? You know, that second slice of cake, even though we know we shouldn't,
Yeah.
why do we sabotage ourselves like that?
That's where social and cultural factors come into play.
Okay.
Food isn't just about satisfying hunger.
Right.
It's often tied to status symbols, body image ideals, athletic performance,
Right.
even religious or philosophical beliefs.
It's like food becomes a language we use to express ourselves or to fit in or to uphold traditions.
Exactly.
It's more than just fuel for our bodies at that point.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the media plays this powerful role in shaping these perceptions.
Right.
Think about how often we're bombarded with images of perfect bodies.
Or the latest food trends.
It's hard to escape those messages.
They're everywhere.
They are.
Social media, magazines, TV.
Yeah.
It's no wonder so many people struggle with body image and disordered eating.
Right. These messages can be really harmful, especially for young people.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
These are complex issues that we can't ignore,
Right.
and they're becoming increasingly prevalent in the modern world,
Right.
where we're constantly bombarded with advertising and exposed to highly processed foods.
It feels like we're caught in this tug of war between what our bodies need and what society tells us we should want.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It's a constant battle. But the good news is that we're becoming more aware of these challenges,
Yeah.
and we're starting to have these important conversations about how to address them.
Okay.
There's a growing movement towards mindful eating,
Right.
sustainable food choices, and body positivity.
It's encouraging to see people pushing back against those unrealistic beauty standards.
And embracing a more holistic approach to health. It feels like there's a real shift in consciousness happening.
I agree. It's not just about individual choices anymore. It's about systemic change.
Okay.
We need to create food environments that make healthy choices easier
Yeah.
and more accessible for everyone.
I love that. It's about empowering people to make those informed decisions,
Yeah.
not just telling them what to eat.
Exactly.
It's about creating a food system that supports the well-being of both people and the planet.
Exactly. And that brings us to this powerful quote
That's
from
our-
the World Health Organization that's highlighted in our source material.
All right.
They say, food should not only provide energy building blocks and protection, but also enable physical and mental activities in line with individual needs, professional life, and environmental context.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of food and our bodies and our environment and our lives as a whole.
Right.
You know, it's a much broader perspective than just focusing on calories or specific nutrients.
It's like food is this thread
Yeah.
that connects us to history and culture,
Yeah.
science, and even our own personal journeys.
Totally.
I don't think I'll ever look at my plate the same way again after this deep dive.
Oh, no. That's the power of, like, taking a deep dive into any subject.
Right.
You look beyond the surface and you discover all these fascinating connections and layers of complexity.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We journeyed from like our hunter-gatherer ancestors
Yeah.
to the birth of scientific dietetics,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the intricate web of factors that are influencing our choices in the modern world.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
But if you had to leave our listeners with one key takeaway,
Okay.
what would it be?
The most important thing to remember is that you have the power to make informed and healthy choices about food.
Okay.
It's about educating yourself,
Right.
being mindful of your choices,
Yeah.
and advocating for a food system that supports both personal and planetary well-being.
That's a really empowering message.
Yeah,
We're not just passive consumers.
right.
We can actually shape our own health and the future of food.
We can.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever considered how your individual food choices might contribute to a larger movement for change?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Every time you choose a locally sourced ingredient,
Okay.
or you support a sustainable farming practice,
Mm-hmm.
or opt for a whole food over a processed one,
Right.
you're making a difference.
Okay.
Those seemingly small choices, when multiplied across millions of people, can have a profound impact.
It's inspiring to think that we can vote with our forks, so to speak.
Right.
So what are some things our listeners can do
Mm-hmm.
to continue exploring this fascinating world of nutrition and make more informed choices?
Well, there are so many resources available today. You can read books and articles. You
Right.
can listen to podcasts like this one,
Of course.
connect with registered dietitians or nutrition experts. Mm-hmm.
You can even take cooking classes to kind of expand your culinary skills.
Yeah,
The key is to stay curious and keep learning.
that's great advice. There's always something new to discover in the world of food and nutrition.
Always.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Remember, knowledge is power,
It is.
especially when it comes to what we put on our plates.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep making choices that nourish both your body and your mind.
I like that.